Hey gang, welcome to another edition of Doc Schlock, where it's a review of the movie Python. Well, this one is about, wow. Sorry if it's kind of annoying. This one is about a giant snake, obviously, that escapes a plane crate. No, it's not snakes on a plane. No, it's much worse. And heads to a town called Ruby to wreak havoc. There's a scientist there, and there's a scientist around the town named Dr. Rudolph, who knows a little bit about the snake. He knows its origins, knows what it's all about. And so it's up to the good doctor, plus our main heroes, John, Kristen, and a deputy named Greg, and Teresa, to try to figure out how to stop this ugly thing. Well, of course, naturally, the snake goes around doing what snakes do, killing people in, well, not so weird ways, and then some pretty weird ways. So after a while, everybody decides enough's enough, and they try many things to try to kill it, including one part where Dr. Rudolph himself tries to sacrifice his own life to try and kill the monster with some sort of like a bomb or something like that. But unfortunately, the bomb does not stop the snake. So Dr. Rudolph wound up sacrificing his own life to try and save the others. So then it pretty much comes down to John and Kristen as they go to this plant where they lure the snake in, and John uses himself as bait. And Kristen, somehow, someway, unleashes some sort of acid to spill all over the top of the snake, finally killing it. Acid. Is there nothing it can't do? And then we find out many months later that Greg gets to be an FBI agent, and John and Kristen are expected parents. The movie had Casper Van Dien, Jenny McCarthy in a very small role, and Robert Englund as the good Dr. Rudolph. So, why did this movie suck? Oh, I hate reviewing a horror movie with Robert Englund in it, but he has done a lot of really bad movies. A lot of people thought of this movie as sort of a ripoff of Anaconda, and in some ways it is, but in a lot of ways it is. You got a snake in a crate on a plane. Sounds like the beginning of a really bad song. It escapes, kills the pilots on board, and just goes around and kills people in some of the worst special effects gore you'll ever see. This is the movie that was actually kind of somewhat famous for Jenny McCarthy's death in the movie, because she gets decapitated by the snake's tail, which didn't make a whole lot of sense anyway, but the movie is pretty idiotic in its own way. Whereas Anaconda took place in the jungle, this movie took place in some small town. And I could swear there was another movie like this. I'm not sure if it might have been the sequel to it, but there were many more movies like this. And eventually they came up with a movie called Boa vs. Python, which was pretty stupid too. But one of the movies I swear was kind of like this. I think it had Pat Morita in it, and I'm not sure if it was a sequel or not, but which they called Pythons. Yeah, this movie had many sequels to it, although under different titles, and then eventually the crossover of Boa vs. Python. But yeah, the gore in it pretty bad, very idiotic. It's another one of these kind of movies where you just sit there and just keep asking yourself, what kind of stupid people live in this town? If word gets out about a giant snake, nobody seems to be the least little bit afraid, or they don't even care, and it just gets dumber and dumber and dumber by the minute, and this movie certainly did. Special effects weren't all that great. It's a pretty sorry, pathetic movie, I can say that in all honesty. And again, I really hate to talk badly about a horror movie Robert Englund was in, but this was definitely something that he had to have done purely out of boredom. And it really gets to me how they give Jenny McCarthy a starring credit, and yet she was in it for like maybe 5 or 10 minutes. So I guess they thought that would sell the DVDs, and obviously a lot of people were very disappointed in this movie. But there you guys have it, a review of Python. If you like my videos, feel free to subscribe. And if you have a horror, sci-fi horror, comedy horror, or fantasy horror movie that made you feel like you should be injected with something just to keep you awake to get through it, and hopefully nothing really bad, send it my way and I'll get on it ASAP. Thank you guys so very, very much for watching. And until next time, as always, stay strong and rock on. Okay, seriously, stop blowing air in the tires. And use a hose.